So many of these types of videos just give you like all these side hustles which require like loads of money or loads of time and resource, or like you need to have like loads of followers already to do them, and they're not practical, and that's not what this video is going to be. This video is going to be practical. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Jade. I am a full-time marketer and side hustle addict. I have 4 side hustles. They include 2 boutiques, 1 Instagram that I've monetized, and this lovely channel, which is a YouTube channel, a website, and an Instagram page. So today's video is a very important video. Okay, so it's 10 side hustles that you can get started with right now. What I really wanted this video to be was like practical above all else. Like I want you to be able to watch this video and know exactly which side hustles are realistic to you, which ones you think are going to make you the most money, or which are going to suit your lifestyle, and you can just watch this video and know exactly what to do next, like where to find more information. Like that's what I want you guys to get out of this video. I've purposely not included any side hustles which require you to have like thousands of followers, right? So, you know, some people are just like, oh, be an influencer. Like, yes, that is a good side hustle, but it takes a lot of time. It's not that easy. And I'm also not going to include any side hustles which require huge amounts of money to set up. And I'm not going to include any which require like huge amounts of skill. So if that's of interest to you, then please carry on watching. I'm actually going to conclude the video with a bonus side hustle. So it's actually going to be 11. And this side hustle is potentially my favorite. I used to do it, I've done it for years. I don't do it anymore, but I used to do it loads when I was younger. It's good money and it is so accessible. But you'll find out why it's my bonus side hustle and not in the top 10 a bit later on in the video. So let's get going. Okay, so the first side hustle I'm going to talk about is becoming a virtual assistant. I feel like this is usually on most people's kind of top 10, 20, 100, whatever side hustles to try. And the reason why is because you can do it from home, which is obviously very practical for the current climate. Also, the market and demand for virtual assistants is massively growing and just due to continue to grow, which means that where there's demand, there's obviously opportunity for all of us side hustle addicts out there. So this could be a really viable way for you guys to start making some extra income. Okay, so what is a virtual assistant? I hear you cry. A virtual assistant is essentially what it sounds like, to be honest. You are someone's assistant and you work remotely and virtually. So all of the work that you do is online. I just realized my camera's tilted. Hold on. Is that even better? Okay. All of the work that you do to help someone out is all done online. So people have personal assistants, people have executive assistants. It's a similar process, it's just that you're going to be doing it remotely, right? The thing to flag about becoming a virtual assistant, which a lot of people don't mention, first of all, it's not easy. I think people often think that this is an easy thing to do. It's quite difficult and it requires a lot of skill depending on the type of virtual assistant you want to become. A lot of virtual assistants that you might see, you know, on Instagram and stuff like that, they have their own companies and they're basically like a bit of an agency in themselves. And they can do things like social media marketing and email marketing, and they're very highly skilled and very highly trained. Those people can charge a fair amount. Like realistically, I think what I wrote down was you could be charging between £10 or $10 to £30 or $30. It's pretty much the same. Or you can be looking at £30 $30 to £100 $30 per hour, right? If you're going to be getting the higher end of that scale, it's because you are probably going solo, you're running it yourself, it's your own business, and you're very highly skilled and you're offering one of those really difficult tasks to do, right? On the other side, you could become a virtual assistant and do different tasks, like a lot more admin based, which require less experience. And if you want to become that type of virtual assistant, what you really want to be doing is going through an agency as opposed to starting up something by yourself. And the reason why I say this is because it's a lot easier to get roles and jobs via an agency, although you might lose some of your income via a commission to the agency. it's a lot easier for people to find your services than if you're going to become, you know, a one-man band and go out there on your own. Going out there on your own, right? You got to realize you're basically starting a business. So there's all the legal requirements and all that stuff, and it's going to cost a little bit of money to set you up legally. But also, you need to go out there and market your business. You've got to find clients. You've got to have a social presence. Like, it's a big commitment. So if that's something what you're used to and which you want to do, then by all means go that route. But if we're looking at something which requires less experience, then I would recommend going via an agency. The kind of roles that you can do as a virtual assistant, I've got a list here, right? So customer service, finance, admin, social media, content marketing, website management, email marketing, and sales, and like cold calling. When you're making profiles on virtual assistant websites, and like if you're going through an agency, make sure that you're really specific about what it is that you're offering, and you don't try to be like someone who can do everything for everyone. There's so many things that you can learn if you feel like, actually, none of these things I'm massively good at. I think I need to like improve my skills in a few areas. There's a website, Skillshare, if you've not heard of it before, I'll put a link in my bio, which offers like tons and tons of courses covering so many different topics. So if you feel like, you know, I just need to level up certain skills before I get into this avenue, then 100% check that out, because that is a great and efficient way to do that. Okay, so the next side hustle I want to talk about, which is a really fun one because I just love dogs and it's to do with dogs, it's dog walking. Dog walking is a legitimate side hustle. By the way, if you see my leg pop up, I'm actually wearing cycling shorts, but I realized that if you just see my leg, it looks like I'm not wearing any pants, and that's not the vibe that I'm trying to give off. I'm wearing cycling shorts. Anyway, dog walking. So to become a dog walker, there's again 2 different routes you can go down, and they're quite similar to the virtual assistant routes I was talking about. You can sign up to like an agency or a platform which connects you with people who own dogs and looking for someone to walk their dog. Or if you want to really go for this, then you can start up your own thing and set up your own dog walking company. Again, you've got to think about the legal requirements behind it. And if you're going to go that route, then I feel like really have a think about, first of all, if you live in an area where there's loads of dogs, like for example, I live in like a flat and there really aren't any dogs around here because they're not allowed. So that would be a terrible start for me. But if you live in an area where there's loads of dogs, and if you have just connections, you know, like dog connections. When I lived back with my parents, and we have a family dog, I would go on walks, and then like I'd always see other people going on walks at the same time, and then you make friends with them, so you just know all the dogs and you know their owners and stuff. So back then that would have been a really good time for me to start a dog walking agency, because I had those connections, you know, I had my dog pals. So if that's you, then that could be a really good opportunity for you. In terms of how much you can earn, this is going to vary, but I actually went through the process of registering an account with care.com. Another version of care.com is bark.com, and that's in the US. But yeah, I registered myself as a dog owner, which I'm actually going to leave the application and just see if anything happens, because I love dogs. I'd happily walk them. Registered myself as a dog walker, and on one of the pages it kind of basically said like, this is how much you can expect to earn, and it was about £7 per hour, I want to say, as opposed to per walk, which isn't a huge amount. But if you're thinking, if you go for walks every day anyway, and you love dogs, I just think this is a bit of a no-brainer. I'll also include a link in my bio to my website, which actually has all of these side hustles as well as quite a few more. It has more details on them and like links to different resources and stuff. So be sure to check that out if you just need any more information. So the next 2 that I want to talk about are really similar. They're basically just very much all about capitalizing on this whole gig economy that we've got going on in the minute. The first one is TaskRabbit. So for those of you who don't know, TaskRabbit is basically a website which allows people to source like handy people and recruit them to help them with various jobs around the house or their, you know, business premises or wherever you are, right? I've actually used TaskRabbit a few times because I'm hopeless with flat pack furniture and I can't put up a shelf to save my life. I'm not even embarrassed. It's okay. We've all got to just admit to what our flaws and our weaknesses are. If we admit to them, then they can't control us. So yeah, I've used TaskRabbit in the past. I think there's a bit of a misconception around TaskRabbit that in order for you to kind of sign up and, you know, sell your services, you've got to be like a handyman or you've got to be like good at all this really physical labor stuff, which isn't true. Handyman or handy woman, should I say, equality, which isn't true. They actually have things on offer like gardening and what I wrote. Wait, we've got planting flowers, delivery, lifting furniture like upstairs, cleaning, and flat pack, right? If you're handy in those areas, this could be a really good opportunity for you to put your services on there. You basically create a profile, you give a bit of context as to what you can do, and then people are able to find your services based on your location. The other one, which is similar, is Fiverr, right? I feel like I couldn't do this whole video without mentioning Fiverr. Fiverr is an interesting one because I think there's an idea that Fiverr is only for like graphic designers and stuff like that, and it's not. Like, if you've not gone on Fiverr recently, go on there and have a look at what kind of services people offer, because it is so varied. Like, it's wild. You obviously have your kind of typical ones that you'd expect. So you've got like your music and radio, graphic design, programming, writing, video and animation, digital marketing, right? But then you also have things from like celebrity impressions. There are loads of tour guides on there. Personal stylist. There's a guy who like can carve your logo into some wood and you get a photo of it, which I think is super niche, but also really interesting. So literally there are so many things you can offer. What I will say about Fiverr is, first of all, the commission rate is about 20%, which is a lot. Also, the money that you earn from Fiverr versus the effort is just not convinced. When you're going for your like graphic design, technical skilled jobs, you're going up against loads of other people who might be offering similar things. So like, if you're going to be a tour guide in London, for example, I'm going to assume that there's going to be a lot of people who are offering similar services. And what that's going to mean is that you have to compete on price for the most part. And that some people are offering like their services for like £3-4. So you've got to really think about, is that worth it to you? Like, the next one I'm going to talk about is one that I'm really familiar with because I've done it quite a few times: selling your clothes on eBay and different marketing platforms. People might be listening to this and being like, is that a side hustle? Is that just a one-time thing you can do? Because you only have a certain amount of clothes in your house. And if you're going to sell all of them, at some point you're going to run out and you're not going to have any more clothes to sell. But it can be turned into a side hustle. And how you basically do that is selling the clothes that you have, using the money that you've made and reinvesting that into finding some cool finds and reselling them on eBay. If you're going to do it this way round, you need to have an eye for cool vintage items or good finds and stuff like that. Like, you've got to go to charity stores, and like, I have some friends who are just great at that. They just have that eye. However, some people aren't. So you've just got to know that, or be willing to put in a lot of research. In terms of the basics of reselling on eBay and my experience with it, so I've sold my clothes on eBay like so many other people have, just when I've needed a bit of extra cash. There was also a time when I was like 21, I want to say, where H&M and Balmain done a collab. Don't know if anyone remembers that, but this was like back when the Kardashians were just bigging up. Is it Balmain or Balmain? Someone's going to correct me in the comments. I'm aware of it. I'm sorry if I pronounced it wrong. I'm not fancy. But they done a collab, and I just knew it was going to be big because it was being so heavily promoted by the Kardashians, and I was like, this is going to be such a big deal. And I went on the website, and I was like first on the website, and I bought a bunch of stuff, and then everything sold out. And then I resold all of it. I didn't keep any of it myself. I resold all of it on eBay, and I made like £1,000 in profit. Like, it was mad. It was like the easiest money I've ever made. The next one is becoming an Uber driver or Lyft, because I'm pretty sure Lyft is a big thing in the US. Correct me if I'm wrong. I just always hear it in like, I don't know. I don't really know where I hear it, but I hear it somewhere. So I just get the impression that it's big in the US. But in England, it's very much Uber, amongst a few others. So becoming an Uber driver obviously requires you to have a driving license. So it does require some skill to an extent, and it also requires you to have a 4-door car. So bear those two things in mind. But if you are a people person, you don't even have to be a people person really. You can be one of those Uber drivers who just like don't speak. I love those Uber drivers. I'm such a Londoner. I don't want to talk. I just want to sit, listen to my podcast. But yeah, basically, if you enjoy driving and you think this could be a good route for you, like, it does really work out really well for some people. On average, you're looking, I think they say like 12 pounds to $16 pounds. But I think realistically, you're probably looking at about £10 or dollars an hour. And with Uber and with most other kind of like Lyft type companies, you should bear in mind that there's going to be peak times where you're going to make a lot more money and you're going to get a lot more jobs. Luckily, from a side hustle point of view, like if you work a 9 to 5, this could work out quite well for you, because traditionally the peak times are outside of those 9 to 5 hours. So it's like weekends and evenings and stuff. Like that's when you're going to be making the most money. So that could work really nicely with your schedule. Next one, which is along the same lines of Uber, is food delivery. So your Deliveroo's, your Uber Eats, your Just Eats. I think there's so many other ones in America, like Grubhub, and like Postmates, that kind of stuff, right? The good thing about this option versus Uber is you don't actually need a car. Like you can just ride a bike. So that works out really well for people. For UK people, if this is something you're really considering, then I would recommend watching the documentary on Deliveroo. It's on Channel 4. It's interesting. I think it's called like Secrets of Your Takeaway or something, but it follows a few delivery drivers. And it's just interesting. So I recommend it. But yeah, you can earn about £10 or dollars per hour doing this. I think most companies say you can earn a bit more, but realistically, I think that's what you're looking at. And obviously there's a bunch of different ones that you can use, and they all have their benefits as well as their kind of, why can't I think of the opposite of benefit? But like, for example, Uber, and this is what I learned from that documentary, this works for also the Uber Drive and Uber Eats. When you're working for them, you don't know where the trip is before you accept one. So if a job's come through for you to pick up and deliver some food, you don't know where the delivery drop-off point is. You have to accept the job first, which is actually quite annoying, I would imagine, because you might get a job where like you need to drop off some food, which is miles and miles away, and it's all uphill and you're on your bike and it's raining. You don't want to do that job, but you just accept it. And then lo and behold, that's what you're doing. That's what you now need to do, which just seems a bit hard to manage. But then I know with other sites and platforms like Deliveroo, for example, you don't have to do that. Also, there's no exclusivity, which is good. Like you can just work for any of them. And there's no age limits as well, other than the obvious like national working age, irrespective of your country. There's no minimum age, whereas with Uber, which I don't think I mentioned, I think the minimum age is 21. The next one I've got is a really cool one, personally, if I do say so myself, is creating hampers and selling them on to your friends and family and broader people. This is a really nice, easy, accessible one. I use the word easy lightly. Creating the hampers is fairly straightforward. Finding customers can be quite tricky, right? I think the trick with this one is making sure that you've got a solid network already. And that doesn't mean having a huge follower base. It just means having friends and family who you know would want to purchase hampers at some point and send them out to different people. And how you make this like different and differentiate it from your John Lewis and your big retail stores who sell hampers is that you make it customized. So people can leave their own notes. People can choose what's going to go into that bag. It can be themed on different seasons. Christmas is coming up. Like this could be a really good one that you can turn around really quickly and start doing. One of my best friends actually has a company where she sells custom hampers. So if you don't feel like starting this business, but you feel like you might want some hampers and you live in England, I'm going to drop her info in my bio. Hit her up. She's amazing. But yeah, hampers, really great opportunity. How much money you earn is going to vary depending on the type of hampers that you are going to be selling. So whether they're premium or more entry level. And it's also just about how you're going to price your products. I'm going to be doing a video on how to price products, learnings from my 2 boutiques that I run, and I'll link to it. But yeah, it's kind of up to you, and you've got to look at the market and really think about what people are willing to pay. But just always make sure that you've got profit in there and you've taken into account things like your delivery fees and stuff like that. Okay, so the next one I'm going to talk about is teaching English or tutoring, which is a really cool one. I am not afraid to admit that I had a tutor at school. Science was not my friend. I just didn't get it. I wasn't a science person, I wasn't good at science. So yeah, I had a tutor once a week who I loved and we really got along, and he was great. And I ended up I don't even think I got an A, which is a bit sad. My mum probably wasn't very happy about that. I think I got a B. It's all right. It's Okay, we move. Um, but yeah, becoming a tutor or teaching English to people, I wanted to group them together because they're fairly similar, is a really good avenue for a lot of people. The thing with becoming a tutor is that you do need to have expertise in a certain subject. So whether that be that you were super academic and you were good at science, unlike me, or maths and English, or you have a skill like music and, you know, playing guitar or something that you can teach to people, that is a really good avenue for you. On the other hand, if you don't have a specific skill, but you speak very good English, especially if you're bilingual, this works really well for you, but you don't have to be. You can look down the teaching English to different people from around the world route. There's a few different sites you can use for that. The process behind this one is quite similar to a lot of the other ones that I've spoken about, in that you can go private or solo and create your own company and become your own tutor in your own right. It's just that requires legal requirements and it requires you to be able to source clients yourself. There are quite a few websites that you can sign up to which will take a bit of your commission if you earn money through them, but will connect you with people looking for tutors. And that could be a really good option for a lot of people. Bear in mind that you will need to do things like write a paragraph introducing yourself. As like what I said with the virtual assistant stuff, you want to make sure you've niched down and you've figured out what you're really good at, rather than just being like, I'm a genius at every subject. Some people, you might be a genius at every subject, and if so, like, hats off to you. But not everyone who, if you're a parent looking for someone who's going to, you know, tutor your kids English, you probably want them to be specifically good at English. So I would just niche down. As I mentioned, there's a bunch of different places you can use for this. I think Tutor Hub, Our Tutors, Tutorful, all really cool creative names. But yeah, head to my website and click on this link about becoming a teacher or a tutor, and there'll be a lot more resources on there. Okay, so another one, freelance writing. Again, this one's not going to be for everyone. This is going to be for people who enjoy writing. I'm not one of those people. I feel like I'm just bashing myself. I'm good at some stuff, just not science or writing, apparently. Those aren't the two things that I'm good at. Freelance writing, if you enjoy writing and you're good at it, this is a really great opportunity for you. And if you think that, if you enjoy writing and you're like, I don't actually know how amazing I am at it, maybe I need to sharpen some of my skills, again, Skillshare is a place for you. Like, check it out. You might just be able to do one quick course and be feeling a lot more confident in your ability, right? So once you've got to the stage where you feel like you're confident in your writing ability and you enjoy it, there are a couple of things you could do. There's one avenue which is a bit simpler, it's a bit more simple, and that's writing CVs for people. So this is especially for all of you people out there who have applied for loads of jobs and switched jobs on a regular basis, and who have worked in HR, or just, you know, a thing or two about CVs, right? This could be a job for you where you can help out people who are applying for new jobs who don't have much experience writing CVs, and you can just basically help level up their entire CV or resume. Resume? Is that what people in the US call it, a resume? Yeah. And then the other side is freelance writing for actual like blogs and websites and companies. This one is a lot more lucrative, but it's more difficult to kind of get your foot in. There's a few different ways you can do it. You can, post a job on a job board. You can do guest posts, basically free posts for people to try and get your name out there and build a bit of a case study base. You can do cold calling and just complete outreach, where you can go on different blogs, and sometimes you can actually tell which blogs have guest writers because they'll have different names basically credited to different articles. So when that's the case, then you know they have guest writers, and you can reach out to the blog, send them some case studies of stuff that you've done, do a guest post, write a whole article which is tailored for their site as an example of what you're able to do, and reach out to them that way. So it takes a fair amount of graft, unless you know people and you're well connected, but it's going to take a bit of graft. So just bear that in mind if you do choose to pursue this avenue. So, you know what time it is? It's time for the bonus one. So there's a bonus, God, I'm so excited. There's a bonus side hustle, which is number 11, my lucky number. This side hustle is something that I used to do for years. And what it basically is becoming a brand ambassador for events. Now, the reason why I love this one so much is because I used to do it, as I mentioned, when I was younger, but also as part of my job, my 9-to-5 job now, we actually work with companies where we hire brand ambassadors for our brand events and experiential events and stuff like that. So I've seen it from both sides of the coin, and I just think it's such a great side hustle. You basically sign up to an agency. There's quite a few. You can sign up to an agency. The whole process won't take you more than like an hour, if that. You'll normally get invited to an interview, but sometimes you aren't. And once you've gone through that process, you'll get accepted onto their books. And what that basically means is that you'll have access to a portal where you can log in and see what jobs are available. So there might be an event in central London in 2 weeks' time where they're doing sampling in Oxford Street, and you could be like, oh, I'm actually free that day, I'm going to apply for this job. You don't always get every job you apply for, but from what I remember from back in the day, I felt like I would get like 90% of the jobs I was applying for. And what you'd basically do is go over there. Sometimes you get given uniform, you fulfill a brief. It's usually very simple, like work. Usually it's like sampling, or sometimes you get to go to really cool events. Oh, this is what I love the most. Just like industry parties and stuff like that. And you would be the person handing out the canapes and stuff. So the job itself wasn't like massively thrilling, but the events you got to go to, and sometimes the speeches you got to see, and sometimes you see celebrities, like all of that stuff was really fun. And it pays well. Like so your travel and expenses will be covered. They'll reimburse you for them. And I was earning between £10 to £20 an hour for the different jobs I was doing. And sometimes the jobs you can get booked for a whole weekend, and they'll be like 12-hour days, which are very long, don't get me wrong. But if you do the math, like you can do 2 of those days in a weekend and be making quite a bit of money. And it's just so flexible. So I'm a huge fan of this one. The reason why this is a bonus, as you probably could have guessed, is that we can't do it right now. Some brand events and experiential is happening, but not a lot. But this time will pass, right? There will be a time again where, you know, experiential and events are going to be as big as they were before, if not bigger, because people would have missed them so much. And when that time comes, that's really when this side hustle is going to be a good avenue for anyone to pursue. So it requires no money at all, and doesn't require you to have loads of skill, and you can literally get started, not today because of Corona, but when that's done, you can get started straight away and just start earning money from it. So that's why that's a bonus one, but I think it's a really good option. So that is all of the side hustles. There are loads of more side hustles that you guys could look into. And as I mentioned on my website, I have links to different pages what take you through all of those. There's so many side hustles on there. So if you've not checked it out, please do. It's weedsidehustle.com. I'll put the link in the bio. And on each of the pages, there's going to be links to different resources. So if you've heard one of the side hustles today and thought, actually, that one sounds like a bit of me, I want to hear a bit more, I want to know how I'm going to go about it, then check out the website and, you know, check out those links, because that's going to help you get started. I really hope this was helpful. I didn't want it to be super long, but I wanted it to be practical and useful. So I hope I've managed to achieve that. For anyone out there who has started any side hustles, if you've got a Depop account or anything like that, drop your handle below, because I'll check it out. If we could all check it out, maybe we can all start buying stuff from each other and just helping each other. We can all win together. Or if you have any experiences with any of your side hustles that I've mentioned that you think it's worth sharing, then please share those too. That's it from me for now though. Thank you so much for paying attention and watching the whole video. As I said, I really hope it's helpful. If you're interested in these types of videos, then please subscribe to my channel, like this post, do all of that engagement stuff. I'll be uploading content every week. So yeah, I'll see you in my next video.